The mountains and forests of Lingling contain many demons, although demons are not so numerous that they can be found everywhere. Encountering one or two of them from time to time is still common. These demons have different ways of living. Some actively harm villages and local people. Some hide themselves deep within remote mountains and secluded valleys, while others are bold enough to occupy a mountain and proclaim themselves kings. However, most demons that successfully cultivate into demon kings are eventually recruited by the Yin court. The Yin court grants them divine positions such as mountain gods and river gods, allowing them to manage mountains, rivers, and other territories on its behalf. Zhu Yang held demon cultivators in great contempt, although the cultivation methods used by demons were varied and took countless forms. They were all essentially cultivation techniques limited to the qi gathering stage. Once a demon reached the complete stage of qi gathering, its path of cultivation would come to an end, leaving it unable to advance any further. In Zhu Yang's view, demon cultivators were fundamentally inferior to Nuo masters. Nuo masters could open the hidden treasures within their bodies, draw out the power contained inside those hidden treasures, and refine that power into hidden realms. Through this process, their cultivation could continue to rise without such a strict limit, eventually allowing them to possess extraordinary abilities capable of reaching the heavens and earth and approaching the level of the divine. The ancestor of the Zhu family was already one of the supreme figures standing at the highest level of this world. His status and strength were so extraordinary that even the current emperor had to show him considerable respect and courtesy. Compared with such a powerful existence, demon cultivators appeared even more insignificant. In fact, Zhu Yang believed that demon cultivators were inferior even to gods who obtained divine positions through the power of incense offerings. Once a god possessed a divine position, as long as that position remained intact, the god could continuously absorb the power of incense from worshippers. Their divine power and cultivation would gradually become deeper and stronger, allowing them to eventually reach an extremely formidable level. Demon cultivators, however, remained trapped within the qi gathering stage. At most, a powerful demon could break through to become a demon king and then be conferred as a demon god by the Yin court. Even then, its authority would generally be restricted to a single mountain. Furthermore, the cultivation techniques of the demon race were extremely miscellaneous and disorganized. Very few people were willing to devote themselves to systematically studying or researching them. Therefore, Zhu Yang was completely shocked when Zhu Yihang suddenly revealed that the fundamental principles at the beginning of an immortal cultivation technique were actually identical to those of demon cultivation techniques. Zhu Yihang explained that the ancient qi refining scholar Tuo had left behind a set of scriptures. Although the original immortal cultivation techniques had already been translated, the translated text remained extremely obscure and profound. Its meaning was difficult to comprehend, and it required someone to provide detailed explanations before its true principles could be understood. According to Zhu Yihang, the Zhu family had already spent an enormous amount of effort attempting to interpret this scripture. Several geniuses of the family had devoted their entire lives to explaining it, while many other exceptionally talented members of the clan had spent years and even grown old worrying over its mysteries. Yet despite all their efforts, the scripture remained extraordinarily difficult to understand. Zhu Yihang sighed deeply, and tears even appeared at the corners of his eyes as he spoke about how difficult the immortal scripture was. Hearing this, Zhu Yang immediately understood why Xu Ying's ability to interpret demon cultivation techniques was so extraordinary. If Xu Ying could explain the cultivation methods of demons and reveal the principles hidden within them, then his knowledge was extremely rare and valuable. More importantly, it might provide clues toward understanding the ancient immortal cultivation system that even the Zhu family had struggled with for generations. However, Zhu Yihang did not intend to let another family benefit from Xu Ying's knowledge. He stated coldly that if the Zhu family could not obtain it, then they would have to destroy it rather than allow another clan to gain the advantage. His expression became gloomy as he ordered Zhu Yang to leave. Before leaving, Zhu Yihang specifically instructed him to remember one thing. He had to notify the provincial governor. Zhu Yang repeatedly agreed, bowed respectfully, and then withdrew from the room. Meanwhile, at Zhaoshan in Lingling, Xu Ying was hiding inside a mountain cave. He stood near the entrance and looked outside. The sky had become dark and gloomy, with heavy rain and violent winds intertwining across the mountains. The rain poured down like a waterfall, while the fierce wind swept through it and caused the streams of rain to sway chaotically. As evening approached, the entire surroundings gradually became darker. The sudden torrential rain was extremely useful to Xu Ying because it prevented the pursuers from continuing their pursuit. With the weather deteriorating so severely, the pursuit had been temporarily interrupted. Xu Ying therefore withdrew his gaze from the outside world and turned back toward the interior of the cave. A fire was burning there, and a pot had been placed above the flames. Medicine was slowly boiling inside the pot. Beside the fire, the snake demon Wanqi had curled himself into a tight coil to keep warm. He appeared sick and weak, clearly suffering from his injuries or illness, and was quietly waiting for the medicine to finish boiling so that he could take it. The cave also contained another occupant, a black bear demon hiding in one corner. The bear kept its head lowered and its body tightly curled up, trembling as it nervously watched Xu Ying. This black bear was the original owner of the cave. Xu Ying and Wanqi had effectively taken over his home and were now using it as a temporary shelter. Xu Ying noticed the bear's fear and deliberately spoke in a gentle and reassuring manner. He told the bear demon, Shang Tianli, not to be afraid and explained that they only intended to take shelter from the rain for a while before leaving. However, Shang Tianli clearly did not trust Xu Ying's words. The black bear suddenly spoke in human language and addressed him as Xu, the great benefactor, but his tone carried obvious suspicion. He asked whether Xu Ying was trying to deceive him again. Shang Tianli reminded Xu Ying that the last time they had met, Xu Ying had taken his scripture. Xu Ying had promised that he would return it after finishing reading it. Yet a considerable amount of time had passed and the scripture still had not been returned. The bear therefore suspected that Xu Ying's promise to leave after the rain stopped might be another deception. Xu Ying's face flushed as he told the black bear to return the book only after finishing it, complaining that it was acting as if he had hidden its book. The black bear, Shang Tianli, was a demon from Zhaoshan and an acquaintance of Xu Ying. Since Xu Ying had grown up poor and worked as a snake catcher in Lingling, he often traveled through the mountains searching for strange snakes and frequently encountered demons. Having practiced the Taiyi Dao guidance technique since childhood, his vigorous qi and blood made ordinary demons no match for him. After fighting many demons and becoming acquainted with them, Xu Ying had reached the peak of his cultivation but found no path beyond it. He therefore began borrowing, or effectively plundering, the demons' scriptures in order to study their cultivation methods and search for a way forward. Shang Tianli was one of the demons whose scriptures had been taken. Shang Tianli became frightened when the snake demon Wanqi jokingly asked whether they were really going to eat him. Since Xu Ying had a reputation for intimidating demons into handing over their scriptures, Xu Ying insisted that he was kind and would never eat a demon. Although his growling stomach made Shang Tianli even more nervous. Searching the cave, Xu Ying found only some household utensils, old books, and sweet potatoes and jicama that Shang Tianli had grown. There was no meat, so Xu Ying roasted the vegetables over the fire. Shang Tianli cautiously came over to eat, while Wanqi mocked him for being afraid in his own cave. Shang Tianli tearfully explained that Xu Ying had once threatened to squeeze his head until it produced water if he refused to hand over his scriptures. Wanqi admitted that Xu Ying had threatened him in the same terrifying manner, causing the two demons to sympathize with each other. They soon discovered that they both liked reading and felt as if they had found a kindred spirit. Although Xu Ying's presence prevented them from speaking freely, after preparing medicine, Xu Ying treated Wanqi's injuries and his own wounds. His internal injuries were not serious, but his external wounds required treatment. He then told Wanqi that the method taught to him by the Great Bell could heal injuries to the internal organs, strengthen cultivation, and transform the qi of the 5 organs into primordial qi. Xu Ying taught Wanqi how to condense consciousness into divine sense, use divine sense to open the door into the Shiyi region, observe the internal organs, gather the 5 qi, achieve the 5 qi returning to origin, and cultivate primordial qi. He explained that mastering this stage could allow rapid progress and potentially lead to becoming a demon king. Wanqi listened with complete concentration, while Shang Tianli also sat by the fire and listened. Wanqi, being an extraordinary snake demon with talent and strength close to Xu Ying's, quickly understood the teachings and entered meditation. Shang Tianli, whose comprehension was slower, remained by the fire and studied the method gradually. Xu Ying then began his own internal observation. He maintained the one, half-closed his eyes, and entered the Shiyi region through the white jade gate he had seen before. because the heavy rain had blocked his pursuers. He now had plenty of time to explore this mysterious inner world. Although it was his second visit, the sight still shocked him. Xu Ying floated through the air and saw colors that did not exist in the outside world. Primordial qi flowed through the sky like descending rainbows, while the heart and liver appeared like inverted mountains. The 5 qi poured down like waterfalls and gathered into primordial qi. The primordial qi vaporized, transformed into rain when struck by lightning, or condensed into brilliant suns that passed between mountains and rivers and illuminated his internal organs. Xu Ying followed the primordial qi through this inner world and used it to heal his injuries. As lightning flashed, he could even clearly perceive the smallest details within the brilliant bolts, revealing immense power and sharpness. Xu Ying recalled that the Great Bell had told him that he knew how to exploit qi but did not understand internal observation and visualization. Since the bell had exhausted its power protecting him against the city god and Zhu Yihang and was still unconscious, Xu Ying could not ask it what visualization meant. While exploring the Shiyi region, Xu Ying suddenly noticed that the flashes of lightning revealed many previously unnoticed dark areas within his body. In the darkness, he saw an enormous mountain range stretching like a giant dragon, seemingly extending all the way into the heavens as though it had descended from the sky. He then saw a surging river rushing from the horizon, seemingly capable of drowning the mountains, while beside them appeared something resembling an inverted galaxy. As the lightning flashed again, Xu Ying saw a gigantic gate standing between the mountain range and the vast river, its top reaching the heavens and its foundation touching the earth. The gate separated the mountains from the galaxy like river and shone like black steel under the lightning. Xu Ying was deeply shaken by the sight. He tried to approach the gate with his divine sense, but as soon as he reached the edge of the darkness, his divine sense began to destabilize. When he continued forward, his divine sense suddenly collapsed. Xu Ying immediately returned from his internal observation, but as he tried to stand, the world spun around him and he collapsed unconscious. During his unconsciousness, he experienced endless, terrifying nightmares that felt like a demonic heart invasion. Yet after waking he could not remember any of them. His head continued to ache intensely, as if a hammer were embedded in the left side of his skull. When his vision cleared, he saw Wanqi and Shang Tianli looking at him anxiously. Wanqi explained that Xu Ying had suddenly collapsed and frightened them. He also happily revealed that while Xu Ying was unconscious, he and Shang Tianli had talked so much that they had sworn brotherhood, with Wanqi becoming the elder brother and Shang Tianli the younger brother. They joked that they had so much in common that, without becoming sworn brothers, they might as well have married. After recovering somewhat, Xu Ying revealed that during his internal observation he seemed to have discovered the mysterious gate leading to the realm beyond the qi gathering stage. He explained that although his cultivation of the Taiyi Dao guidance technique had long since reached its apparent peak and his qi and blood seemed ready to break through, there had been no path forward. However, during his recent internal observation, he had seen a pitch-black mysterious gate hidden in the darkness and instinctively felt that passing through it would lead to an entirely new world. Wanqi and Shang Tianli were stunned and asked whether there truly was a path beyond that gate. Xu Ying firmly confirmed that there was. Wanqi became overwhelmed with emotion, tears streaming down his face as he repeatedly exclaimed that a path truly existed and that Xu Ying was a great hero of the demon race. Shang Tianli was equally excited and embraced Wanqi as they celebrated. The demon race's cultivation had always been limited to the qi gathering stage, at most. A powerful demon could become a demon king. But after reaching the peak, there was no further realm to enter. If Xu Ying had truly discovered the gate to the next realm, it would be an earth-shattering development for the entire demon race. Shang Tianli excitedly declared that the demon race would rise, while Wanqi shouted that they would overthrow the oppressive humans. The two demons even imagined that Shenzhou, which currently belonged to humanity, would eventually belong to the demon race. Xu Ying did not join their celebration. Instead, he pointed out that it was strange that neither of them had successfully practiced internal observation or entered the Shiyi region, while he, a human, had managed to do so first. He wondered whether this meant that the demon cultivation methods might not actually be techniques created for demons. Remembering the Great Bell's statement that demon techniques were actually cultivation methods of qi refiners, Xu Ying speculated that the so-called demon techniques might originally have been human qi refining techniques that had been lost for unknown reasons. Shang Tianli, however, excitedly grabbed Xu Ying's shoulders and revealed that he and Wanqi had discussed the matter all night and reached an important conclusion. Xu Ying must actually be a demon who merely looked human. An extraordinary humanoid species among demons. Wanqi then affectionately draped an arm around Xu Ying and joked that one day he would eventually reveal his true form. Xu Ying snorted at the two crazed demons but could do nothing about them. Wanqi and Shang Tianli continued trying to persuade him to rebel against humanity, overthrow human rule, and establish a demon kingdom on the continent, even declaring that they would willingly serve under him if he became their king. The cave was filled with chaotic demonic qi, so Xu Ying eventually left the cave. Outside, the rainstorm had stopped, but a light drizzle still remained in the dark sky. As he stood there thinking, Xu Ying reflected on the differences between human cultivation systems. Human Nashi geomancers used dragon searching and positioning techniques to locate the 6 secret realms within the body, open the hidden repositories, and refine their power into hidden realms. Qi refiners, on the other hand, absorbed and refined qi and attempted to break through the mysterious pass within the body. These were clearly two completely different cultivation systems with no obvious connection. Xu Ying therefore wondered why, if absorbing and refining qi was a human cultivation method, it was completely different from Nashi techniques. Meanwhile, Wanqi and Shang Tianli excitedly discussed their own theories. They imagined that long before humanity appeared, the demon race must have possessed an advanced civilization, established a glorious empire, and perhaps even separated the realms of yin and yang. They believed humanity had later defeated the demons through schemes and caused their ancient civilization to be lost. They denounced humanity and proclaimed that the great demon king Xu Ying would lead the demon race in restoring its former glory. Xu Ying rolled his eyes at their wild imagination. His left shoulder was still aching, although it had improved considerably. Previously, the giant god's flying sword had pierced his left arm, left chest, and shoulder blade, leaving the entire arm almost immobile. After cultivating the 5 qi, returning to origin and transforming primordial qi into the 5 qi. However, Xu Ying's recovery ability had become much stronger. An injury that might once have required half a year of rest was now recovering rapidly. Even so, Xu Ying thought that the regenerative ability of the Nihon hidden repository of the Zhu family was far more terrifying. Almost heaven-defying. He remembered Zhu Yiheng's astonishing body and envied its nearly immortal recovery. Unfortunately, Xu Ying still did not know how to use dragon searching and positioning techniques to locate his own Nihon hidden repository. Even if he found it, he would still need a great Nashi to help open it. More importantly, Xu Ying began wondering whether he was actually human or a demon. Looking toward the brightening horizon, he firmly told himself that he was human. He remembered his family, his parents, Xu Xiaoping and Miao Yumei, and even the route from the Xu family lands to Miao Dianpu. Behind him, Wanqi suddenly stopped celebrating and became suspicious. He quietly pointed out to Shang Tianli that Xu Ying had previously said his father was Xu Wen. His mother was Tian Erjin, and that they lived in the Tian family lands. Now both his parents and his family residence had changed. Shang Tianli jokingly concluded that Xu Ying must have hit his head when he fainted and developed a mental problem. The two demons then happily imagined that they could become powerful ministers controlling their foolish king. Eventually, the rain stopped completely and the sky cleared. Xu Ying immediately noticed the Neihe River nearby. The enormous river of the Yin realm was surging from Stone Mountain, passing between Zhaoshan and Wuwang Mountain. Looking into the distance, Xu Ying saw ghost fires floating throughout the mountains. A distant graveyard had also been affected, with skeletons climbing from their graves, decorating the area, and holding a strange celebration. Suddenly, the earth began to shake violently. Xu Ying, Wanqi, and Shang Tianli looked toward the disturbance and saw the previously invisible banks of the Neihe River gradually becoming physical. The riverbanks grew clearer and more solid, as if an incomprehensible world were invading the human realm. Mountains and rivers from the Yin realm appeared along the Neihe River, pushing away the mountains of Lingling. Even Zhaoshan was displaced. It had originally been only a few miles from Wuwang Mountain and Qinyandong, but now it had been pushed more than 30 miles away, with dozens of additional mountains and rivers appearing between them. Wanqi angrily complained that the human race had so many people in Nashi, yet no one came to stop the invasion. He was particularly upset that Qinyandong, his home, had been pushed so far away. Xu Ying was secretly alarmed because he did not know what terrifying beings might exist in the mountains of the Yin realm. Even as a demon king, entering such a place recklessly could be fatal. At that moment, a divine eye appeared on a nearby mountain, emitting a deep light and beginning to search the area. Xu Ying realized that the gods had already begun hunting him even before dawn. He immediately called Wanqi to leave. As dawn approached, the Yin realm continued colliding with the human realm, causing loud explosions and spatial instability. Once the sun rose, the Nehi River gradually faded away, although the mountains and rivers it had brought into the human realm remained behind. Several gods continued searching the mountains. One god had eyes growing in his palms, while another god from Yong'an town possessed a human body, wings, and blazing eyes. Suddenly, Xu Ying silently appeared before the palm-eyed god while carrying the enormous bell. The god sensed danger and tried to illuminate Xu Ying with his palm eyes. But it was too late. Xu Ying punched directly into his chest. The tremendous force penetrated his entire body, crushing everything it passed through into powder. A second punch shattered his divine soul and dispersed his vital essence before his body could even fall. Xu Ying's strength had become much greater than during his battle with the giant god. Although his left arm was still injured, he carried the bell with that arm because allowing it to drag across the ground would create noise and attract the pursuers. His powerful cultivation of the elephant force bull demon fist made carrying it possible. Xu Ying immediately turned toward the winged god of Yong'an town. He kicked a tree to change direction in midair, then used Wanqi, who had transformed into a giant snake, as a foothold to launch himself upward. The god had received 200 years of incense offerings and was considerably powerful. He transformed his incense power into a flying sword while retreating through the air. Because Xu Ying had no foothold in midair, the god believed he could avoid the attack. However, Xu Ying unleashed the Elephant King divine body, and the resulting punch compressed the surrounding air into a vacuum, preventing the winged god from escaping. The punch shattered his incense-powered flying sword and pierced through the power accumulated from 200 years of offerings. His head exploded into pieces of wood, and his headless body continued flapping its wings before falling. Xu Ying immediately escaped into the forest. Wanqi followed closely, and the two began fighting their way through the pursuing gods. Whenever they encountered an enemy, they attacked immediately and tried to kill it in the shortest possible time. Wanqi had also cultivated the elephant force bull demon fist to the 5th level peak and specialized in the white elephant swinging its trunk technique. His tail could move faster than sound, often allowing him to defeat an enemy with one strike. However, if his first attack failed, he was vulnerable because his snake body prevented him from using the full range of techniques. Xu Ying therefore followed up immediately whenever Wanqi missed, allowing the two to cooperate effectively. As the sun rose higher, the Nehi River disappeared completely. Shang Tianli watched from the cave entrance as gods continued pursuing Xu Ying and Wanqi. In the distance, intense solar essence gathered around their path, forming two huge vortices of light. Xu Ying and Wanqi were fighting while running and simultaneously practicing their breathing and qi circulation, cleansing impurities from their bodies, strengthening their qi and blood, and accelerating recovery. They ran for 10 miles. Eventually entering the left bank of the Nehi River and stepping into the mountains of the Yin realm. Those 10 miles were filled with continuous combat, but they finally shook off their pursuers. Both suffered additional wounds, yet they stopped practicing the Tao guidance technique because the sunlight in the Yin realm had become cold and strange. Absorbing the local qi only brought in an icy, sinister force that made even their blood seem ready to freeze. Rather than strengthening cultivation, this chaotic power was harmful to their bodies. The mountains of the Yin realm were dark and terrifying, with black liquid of unknown origin flowing down the cliffs. Xu Ying carried the great bell in his right hand and advanced along a road made entirely of piled white bones. At the end of the bone road stood a bizarre house constructed from white bones, with human skin hanging as flags and skulls used as decorations. The yin wind caused the human skin flags to flutter, and one of them clearly displayed two characters, tavern,